The big ship called Unity floated quietly near the huge crystal palace in space. The palace belonged to the Kalorian Empire. It turned slowly around a giant orange gas planet with wild storms inside. Humans had come here to talk about peace and trade. They wanted to be friends with the tall, silver-skinned aliens who had wings. Captain Daniel Hayes stood at the front of the human group. He was tall and strong, with gray hair at the sides and many scars on his arms from old battles. Next to him was Lieutenant Ryan Cole. Ryan had lost 2 fingers on his left hand in a fight against pirates years ago. He kept his hand in a tight fist most of the time. Sergeant Olivia Grant stood straight like a wall. She had short brown hair and a calm face that never showed much feeling. Chief Engineer Marcus Lee was behind them. He was wide in the shoulders and had burn marks on his neck from a reactor explosion. They all wore clean blue uniforms with many shiny medals. Each medal told a story of danger and victory. The humans walked into the great hall together. The floor was black and shiny like glass. Tall pillars of clear crystal went up to a high ceiling that showed the stars outside. Soft blue light came from everywhere. On the other side of the hall stood the Kalorians. They were taller than humans, most over 7 feet. Their skin looked like liquid silver. Thin wings grew from their backs, folded neatly like cloaks. The wings had sharp edges that could cut metal. At the center stood Princess Lyraveth. She was the future ruler of her people. Her eyes were bright violet. A thin crown of black metal sat on her long white hair. She wore light armor that covered her chest and arms, but left her wings free to move. The princess looked at the humans one by one. She did not smile. Her face stayed calm and cold. Tradition said she must pick one human to spend the day with. It was an old custom. The chosen one would be her companion for one full cycle of the palace lights. It showed trust between the 2 races. Everyone knew the princess always picked the strongest, the one with the most battle marks. She wanted someone who proved they could survive anything. Daniel stepped forward first. He bowed a little, the way the diplomats had taught them. "Your Highness, we are honored to be here. The United Earth Fleet offers friendship and open trade." Lyraveth looked at him. Her eyes moved over his scars, his medals, his strong build. She said nothing. She just turned her head and walked past him. Daniel's jaw tightened, but he stayed quiet. Next was Ryan. He saluted sharply with his good hand. Lieutenant Ryan Cole, reporting as ordered. His voice was rough, from years of shouting orders in loud battles. The princess stopped in front of him. She looked at the missing fingers. She looked at the hard lines on his face. Then she moved on, without a word. Ryan lowered his hand slowly. A small frown appeared on his forehead. Olivia stood next. She did not bow or salute. She just met the princess's eyes straight on. Olivia had fought in 3 big wars. She had led teams through burning ships and broken stations. Her record was perfect. No one questioned her courage. Lyraveth stared back for a long moment. The hall was so quiet that everyone could hear their own breathing. Then the princess tilted her head a little, like she was thinking. After that, she stepped to the side and continued down the line. Olivia blinked once, surprised, but her face stayed calm. Marcus was after her. He wiped his hands on his pants, nervous. "Chief Engineer Marcus Lee, I keep the engines running so we don't die in the black." The princess glanced at the burn scars on his neck. She saw the tool belt he still wore, full of small wrenches and testers. She made a small sound, almost like a sigh, and walked past him too. The veterans looked at each other. They did not understand. The Kalorians behind the princess whispered in their strange clicking language. Some sounded confused, others sounded amused. At the very end of the line stood Private Ethan Brooks. He was 21, the youngest on the team. His uniform was new and stiff. No medals hung on his chest. No scars marked his skin. He had joined the fleet 6 months ago because he wanted to see the stars. He carried a datapad and tried to stay out of the way. Right now his hands shook a little. He hoped the princess would just walk by, like she did with the others. Lyraveth reached him. She stopped, completely stopped. Ethan looked up. Her violet eyes locked on his face. She did not look at his empty uniform, or his nervous hands. She looked into his eyes, like she was searching for something hidden there. The wings on her back opened just a tiny bit, then closed again. The silence in the hall grew heavier. Daniel took one small step forward. "Your Highness, if I may." She raised one hand. The movement was fast and sharp. Daniel stopped talking. Lyraveth kept staring at Ethan. Then she lifted her arm and pointed one long silver finger straight at him. "He's mine today." Her voice was clear and strong. It rang through the big room like a bell. Everyone froze. Ethan's mouth opened, but no sound came out. His face turned red. He looked left, then right, hoping someone would say it was a mistake. Ryan coughed. "Princess, the private is, well, he's new. He hasn't seen real action yet." Lyraveth did not turn her head. She kept looking only at Ethan. "I know exactly who he is, and I choose him." Olivia spoke next, her voice low. "With respect, our tradition is to offer our best. The ones who have proven, the choice is mine," the princess said, cutting her off. "Not yours, not based on old fights or metal pins on cloth. I choose the one whose heart beats strongest right now, not the one who beat hardest before." Guards in black armor moved forward. They were tall Kalorians with spears that glowed at the tips. They gently pushed Ethan away from the line and toward the princess. Ethan stumbled a little. "Wait, I mean, Your Highness, I think there's been—" Lyraveth turned and started walking toward a side door. She did not look back. "Come, Private Brooks, the day is short." Ethan looked at Daniel. The captain gave a small nod, the kind that said, "Go, we'll handle this later." Ryan shook his head slowly. Olivia just watched with narrow eyes. Ethan took a deep breath. He followed the princess. His boots sounded loud on the shiny floor. The veterans stayed behind, staring after him. The great doors closed with a soft hiss. The hall became noisy again. Whispers from both sides filled the air. The humans talked in low voices. The Kalorians clicked and hummed. No one had expected this. Outside the hall, in a long hallway made of glowing crystal, Ethan walked beside the princess. She was much taller than him. Her wings moved slightly with each step. He swallowed hard. "Ma'am, I mean, Your Highness, why me?" She did not answer right away. They kept walking. The hallway opened into a garden room. Strange blue plants grew everywhere. Small lights floated in the air like fireflies. Lyraveth stopped near a low stone bench. She turned to face him. "Because," she said quietly, "you are not finished yet. The others are like swords already sharpened. You are the metal still hot from the fire, full of shape, full of chance. I want to see what you become." He did not know what to say. She smiled for the first time. It was small, but real. "Now sit," she told him. "We have much to share before the lights dim." Ethan sat. His heart beat fast. The day had just started, and already everything felt different. Ethan Brooks walked behind Princess Lyraveth through the long hallway of glowing crystal. His boots made soft echoes on the smooth floor. He kept his eyes on her back. Her silver skin caught the light and sent tiny sparkles dancing around the walls. Her wings stayed folded tight, but every few steps they moved just a little, like they wanted to stretch. He felt small next to her. She was almost a foot taller, and her steps were long and sure. Ethan tried to match her speed without running. His heart still pounded from the moment she pointed at him in the big hall. His face felt hot. He could still hear the surprised whispers from the other humans. They passed through a wide arch made of dark stone. On the other side was a quiet garden room. Strange plants grew in neat rows. Their leaves were deep blue and glowed softly. Small floating lights drifted above them like slow stars. In the center stood a low bench, carved from the same glowing stone as the floor. A thin stream of clear water ran nearby, making a calm sound. Lyraveth stopped and turned to face him. She pointed to the bench. "Sit." Ethan sat quickly. The stone felt warm under him, not cold like he expected. He put his hands on his knees and tried not to fidget. The princess stayed standing. She looked down at him with those bright violet eyes. For the first time, her face softened a little. Not a big smile, but the hard lines around her mouth went away. "You look like you want to run," she said. Her voice was quieter now, not the strong command voice from the hall. Ethan opened his mouth, closed it, then tried again. I don't understand, Your Highness. Back there, everyone thought you would pick Captain Hayes, or Lieutenant Cole, or Sergeant Grant. They're the ones who matter. They've done big things, fought real battles, saved lives. I just carry things and stay out of trouble." Lyraveth walked slowly around the bench. Her wings opened halfway, showing the thin silver edges that looked sharp enough to slice air. She stopped behind him. Ethan felt her shadow fall over his shoulders. "I saw them," she said. "I saw the scars, the medals, the way they stand like they own every room they walk into. They are strong, yes, but strength that is already shaped is safe, predictable, like a blade that has been sharpened too many times. It cuts well, but it cannot grow sharper." She came around to the front again. She crouched down so her eyes were level with his. That made Ethan even more nervous. Her face was close now. He could see tiny patterns in her silver skin, like faint lines of starlight. "You," she continued, "are different. Your heart beats fast right now, not from fear alone, but from wonder too. I can hear it, feel it. Kalorians are trained to sense these things. The veterans carry the weight of old fights. Their blood moves slow and steady. Yours races. It is alive. Not yet full." Ethan swallowed hard. "But I'm nobody. I barely passed basic training. I trip over my own feet sometimes. I don't know how to fight like they do." "That is why I chose you," she said simply. "Because you are empty of old stories. There is room inside you for new ones. My people value what has been proven. But I grow tired of the same proofs. I wanted something else today. Something real." She stood up again, her wings folded back neatly. She gestured to the garden around them. "This place is mine alone. No guards, no advisors, no tradition watchers. For the next cycle of lights, our day, you stay here with me. We talk, we share. No games, no lies." Ethan looked around. The floating lights moved gently. The blue plants swayed without wind. It felt peaceful, but also strange, like he had stepped into someone else's dream. "What do you want to know?" he asked. His voice came out small. "Everything," she answered. "Start with why you came to the stars." Ethan took a breath. He stared at his hands. "I grew up in a little town in Ohio. Nothing big. Fields, small houses, one store that sold everything. My mom died when I was 10. Dad worked long hours at a factory. He got sick too later. I was alone after that. The fleet came through town one summer. They had big ships in the sky. People cheered. I watched from the roof of our house. I thought, maybe out here I could be more than just the kid who lost everything." Lyraveth listened without moving. Her eyes never left his face. "I signed up the day I turned 18, Ethan went on. "They said I was too skinny, too quiet. But I worked hard, learned how to fix small machines, read maps, follow orders. I never expected to be in a place like this, talking to a princess." She tilted her head. "And now you are. Does it scare you? Yes, he admitted. A lot. Everyone back there thinks I tricked you or something. Or that you'll send me back in shame. Liraveth made a low sound, almost like a laugh, but softer. They do not understand. Let them think what they want. This day is not for them. She walked to the stream and dipped her fingers in the water. Tiny ripples spread out, glowing brighter for a second. Come, she said. Ethan stood up and walked over. The water was warm. He put his hand in next to hers. It felt alive, like it moved on its own. This water comes from deep inside the gas giant below us, she explained. It carries heat and light from the core. My people use it to heal wounds, to grow stronger. But it also shows truth. Watch. She pulled her hand out. A small drop stayed on their finger. It floated up and turned into a tiny ball of light. Inside the light, Ethan saw flashes, quick pictures. A young Liraveth running through dark tunnels, her wings small and soft. Then, older, training with sharp spears. Standing alone on a high tower, looking at stars. Always alone. The light faded. She looked at him. Your turn. Ethan hesitated. He pulled his hand from the water. A drop clung to his skin. It rose and made its own little ball. Inside, he saw his own memories. The day his mom smiled at him one last time. The empty house after his dad was gone. The first time he saw a starship up close. The moment he stepped onto the Unity, for the first time, scared, but excited. The light disappeared. Ethan felt strange, like she had seen parts of him he never showed anyone. You carry much, she said quietly, but you do not let it stop you. That is rare. Ethan looked up at her. You carry things too. I saw it. You're the princess. Everyone expects you to be perfect. But you're lonely. Liraveth's wings twitched. For a second her face looked surprised. Then she nodded slowly. Yes, lonely. Tradition says I must choose a companion to show strength. But no one ever stays. They come for one day, impress me with stories of war, then leave. I stay here. Always. Ethan felt something shift inside him. Not fear anymore. Something warmer. Then today, we can just be here. No impressing, no leaving yet. She studied him for a long time. Then she smiled again, bigger this time. It made her look younger. Yes, just here. She sat on the grass next to the stream. Ethan sat beside her. Not too close, but close enough to feel the warmth from her skin. They talked. About small things first. Her favorite food, sweet fruit that grew only on one moon. His favorite memory, lying in a field at night, counting stars. Then bigger things. Her fear of failing her people. His fear of never being enough. Hours passed. The floating lights dimmed a little, signaling the middle of their day. Ethan felt tired but good, like he could breathe easier. Liraveth looked at him. You asked why you. Now you know. Because in this moment, you see me. Not the princess, not the tradition, just me. Ethan nodded. And you see me. Not the private, not the kid, just me. She reached out and touched his hand lightly. Her fingers were cool and smooth. The day is not over. There is more I want to show you. Places no human has seen. Ethan stood up with her. I'm ready. They walked deeper into the palace, past hidden doors, into training rooms where young Kalorians practiced with glowing blades, into quiet libraries full of old glowing books. Everywhere, she explained. He listened, asked questions, laughed sometimes when she told funny stories about clumsy young warriors. And for the first time since he left home, Ethan did not feel like the youngest, the weakest, the one who did not belong. He felt seen. The lights in the palace began to change color slowly. The day moved on. But something had already changed forever. Ethan followed Princess Lyraveth deeper into the palace. The hallways grew narrower and quieter. The glowing crystal walls turned darker, almost black, with thin lines of silver light running through them like veins. No guards walked with them now. No other Kalorians appeared. It felt like the palace had swallowed them whole. Lyraveth moved with purpose. Her wings stayed folded, but Ethan noticed they opened a little wider each time they passed a new door. She stopped at one made of heavy dark metal. She placed her palm on it. The door slid open without a sound. Inside was a large round room. The floor was soft black sand. In the center stood tall poles of shining steel. Each pole had marks from blades and claws. Young Kalorians trained here. Right now the room was empty. Lights came on slowly, soft and gold. "This is where we learn to fight," Lyraveth said. "Not for show, for life." She walked to the middle. He felt out of place. His boots left small prints in the sand. "Come closer," she told him. Ethan stepped forward. The sand felt warm under his feet. Lyraveth picked up a short training blade from a rack on the wall. It was light, made of some clear material that glowed faintly blue. She held it out to him. "Take it." Ethan stared at the blade. I'm not trained for this. I only know basic self-defense from boot camp. Nothing like what you do." "I know," she said. "That is why I give it to you. Hold it." He took the handle carefully. It felt warm, like it matched his body heat. The weight was perfect, not too heavy. Lyraveth took a similar blade for herself. She stepped back a few paces. "Show me what you know," she said. Ethan shook his head fast. "No way. I'll look stupid. You'll laugh." "I will not laugh," she promised. Her voice was serious. "This is not a test to win or lose. It is to see how you move, how you think when something comes at you." Ethan gripped the blade tighter. He remembered the moves his instructor taught. Simple blocks, a quick jab, nothing fancy. Lyraveth moved first. She did not rush. She stepped forward slow, blade low. Ethan raised his own blade in front of his chest like a shield. She swung gently, not to hurt, just to touch. Ethan blocked. The blades met with a soft ring, like glass tapping glass. She pulled back and swung again from the other side. He blocked that too. "Good," she said. "You do not freeze." She sped up a little. Ethan moved his feet, trying to stay balanced. Sweat started on his forehead. His arms burned already. Lyraveth smiled a small smile. "Now defend." She came faster, blade flashing in quick arcs. Ethan blocked one, missed the next. The tip of her blade tapped his shoulder lightly. No cut, just a touch. "Again," she said. Ethan got better at reading her moves. He started to step sideways instead of just backing up. Once he even pushed forward with a small jab. She blocked it easy, but her eyes lit up. "You learn fast," she said. They stopped after a while. Ethan breathed hard. His shirt stuck to his back. Lyraveth looked the same as before, not even breathing fast. She put her blade away. "That was good. You did not try to be brave. You just tried to stay alive. That is the first lesson." Ethan wiped his face with his sleeve. "I felt like a kid playing pretend." "No," she said. "You felt like someone who wants to live. That matters more than looking strong." They left the training room. She led him down another hall, to a place with high shelves full of glowing crystals. Each crystal held a small light inside, like trapped stars. "This is our memory room," Lyraveth explained. "Every battle, every choice, every mistake, stored here. We come to remember, so we do not repeat the bad ones." She touched one crystal. A soft image appeared in the air. A big space battle. Kalorian ships against dark enemy vessels, wings flashing, lasers cutting through black space. "My mother led that fight," she said quietly. "She won, but she lost half her wing guard. I was young. I watched from here. Alone. The image faded. Lyraveth looked at Ethan. Your turn. Tell me something you keep inside. Ethan thought for a moment. When my dad died, I didn't cry at the funeral. Everyone expected me to. I just stood there, felt nothing. Later that night, I broke down in the bathroom so no one would hear. I thought, if I showed weakness, people would leave me too. Lyraveth nodded slowly. You hid the hurt to keep people close. I hide mine to keep power. We both carry masks. They moved on. She took him to a small observatory. Below them, the gas giant turned slowly, orange and red storms swirling like fire. She sat on the floor. Ethan sat next to her. They looked down at the planet. My people came from there, she said. Long ago, we lived in the high clouds. Wings were for riding storms. Then we built ships, left the storms behind. But sometimes I come here and remember what it felt like to fly free. Not for war, just to feel the wind. Ethan watched the storms. It's beautiful. Scary, too. Yes, she agreed. Like life. They sat in silence for a while. The planet turned. Lights in the room dimmed to match the mood. Then, Lyraveth spoke again. You asked earlier why I chose you. It is because you remind me of something I lost. Hope. Not the big hope of winning wars. The small hope that tomorrow can be better than today. Even when everything says it cannot. Ethan looked at her. You don't seem like someone who lost hope. I hide it well, she said. Being heir means no mistakes, no doubts, no friends who see the real me. Only people who want something. Power, favor, safety. Ethan thought about that. I'm not asking for anything. I know, she said softly. That is why I can talk to you. Really talk. She reached out and touched his arm. Light. Careful. Thank you for listening. Ethan felt warm inside. Not embarrassed anymore. Just calm. I like listening to you, he said. You're not what I thought a princess would be. She laughed quietly. And you are not what I thought a human soldier would be. They stayed there a long time, watching the planet, talking about small things, big things, dreams they never told anyone. After a while, Lyraveth stood. There is one more place. She led him to a quiet garden, different from the first one. This one had tall trees with silver leaves, flowers that opened and closed like breathing. No floating lights, just natural glow from the plants. This is where I come when I need to think alone, she said. She sat on the grass. Ethan sat too. Tradition says this day ends soon, she told him. You go back to your people, I go back to my duties. Ethan felt a pang in his chest. Yeah. But, she continued, I do not want it to end like that. Not completely. She looked at him straight, her violet eyes steady. I want to see you again, not as a companion for show, as someone who matters. Ethan's heart jumped. You mean after today? Yes, she said, if you want that too. He thought about his life back on the ship. The veterans, the rules, the distance between humans and Kalorians. Then he thought about today, about feeling seen, about laughing with someone who understood hurt. I want that, he said, a lot. Lyraveth smiled, big and real. Her wings opened wide for the first time, not for fighting, just because she felt happy. Then we will find a way, she promised. They sat together under the silver trees. The day was almost over, but something new had started. Ethan looked at her. She looked back. And for the first time in a long time, both of them felt less alone. The silver trees in the quiet garden glowed softly as the palace lights began to shift from bright white to warm gold. The day was moving toward its end. Ethan sat on the soft grass next to Princess Lyraveth. Their shoulders almost touched. Neither of them spoke for a few minutes. They just listened to the small sounds around them, the gentle hum of the plants, the faint ripple of water in the pond, the slow beat of their own breathing. Lyraveth broke the silence first. "There is still time left. I want to show you one last thing before the cycle ends." Ethan nodded. "Okay, lead the way." She stood up and offered her hand. Ethan took it. Her fingers were cool and strong. She pulled him to his feet with easy strength. They walked out of the garden through a hidden arch that blended into the wall. On the other side was a long corridor lit only by thin lines of blue light on the floor. Then Lyraveth started to talk. "My people have many rules," she said. "Some are old, some are useful, some feel like chains. One rule says the chosen companion must leave when the lights change color. No more, no less. One full cycle." Ethan looked up at her. "Do you always follow that rule?" She gave a small, sad smile. "Always, until today." They reached the end of the corridor. A round door of dark glass stood there. Lyraveth placed her hand on it. The door turned clear, then opened. Inside was a wide chamber shaped like a half-circle. The far wall was one giant window. Beyond it stretched open space. Stars burned bright against perfect black. In the distance, the gas giant they orbited looked huge and close. Its storms swirled in slow motion, reds and oranges mixing like fire in water. In the middle of the room stood a low platform with soft cushions. Around it floated small orbs of light. Each orb held a tiny moving picture, like little windows to other places. Lyraveth walked to the center. Ethan followed. "This is the viewing room," she explained. "Here we watch the past, the present, and sometimes hints of what might come. Not magic, just old technology from before we left the storms." She touched one floating orb. It grew bigger. Inside, Ethan saw Kalorian ships flying through thick clouds. Young ones with small wings rode the winds on their own. They laughed as they spun and dove. "That was my first flight," she said. "I was scared. My wings were not strong yet. But when the wind caught me, I felt free, like nothing could touch me." The picture changed when she touched another orb. This one showed a younger Lyraveth standing in front of a crowd. She wore heavy armor. Her face looked serious, almost hard. "My first speech as heir," she said. "I was told what to say, words about strength and duty. But inside, I felt empty, like I was acting in someone else's life." Ethan watched her face as she spoke. Her eyes stayed on the images, but her voice grew softer. "You don't have to act with me," he said quietly. She looked at him then. "I know. That is why this feels strange. Good strange." She waved her hand. All the orbs disappeared. The room grew darker. Only the starlight from the window lit their faces. "Now you," she said. "Tell me something you have never told anyone." Ethan thought for a long time. He stared at the stars outside. "When I was a kid," he started, "after my parents were gone, I used to climb up on the roof at night. I would lie there and look at the sky. I told myself the stars were people who had left Earth, family I never met. I talked to them, told them about my day, about being scared, about being alone. I thought, if I talked long enough, one day a ship would come down and take me away to where I belonged." He stopped. His throat felt tight. "Did it ever come?" Lyraveth asked gently. "Not like that," Ethan said, "but I joined the fleet, and now I'm here, talking to you, looking at real stars. It feels like maybe those talks on the roof worked after all." Lyraveth reached out and touched his cheek. Just one finger, light as a feather. "You belong here," she said, "right now, with me." Ethan felt tears in his eyes. He blinked them away fast. They sat on the cushions, side by side, looking out at space. After a while, Lyraveth spoke again. I have never told anyone this. Not my advisors, not my guards. When I was young, before I became heir, I dreamed of leaving. Not forever, just for a while. To fly without rules, to see other worlds, to meet people who did not bow or expect things from me. But duty called. I stayed. I learned to hide the dream. It still lives inside me. Small, quiet, but alive. Ethan turned to her. Maybe one day you can follow that dream, even a little. She met his eyes. Maybe, with someone who understands. They talked more, about fears, about hopes, about the small things that made them laugh. Ethan told her about eating ice cream on hot summer days back home. She told him about tasting storm fruit that tasted like lightning and sugar. Time passed. The lights in the palace slowly turned deeper gold. The cycle was almost done. Lyraveth stood up. She walked to the window and pressed her palm against the glass. I do not want you to go, she said. Her voice was so quiet he almost missed it. Ethan stood too. He walked over and stood beside her. I don't want to go either, he said. She turned to face him. Her wings opened slowly, not wide like in battle, just enough to show she felt safe. Then stay a little longer, she said. Not because of tradition, because you want to. Ethan nodded. I do. She stepped closer, close enough that he could feel the warmth from her skin. She lowered her head until their foreheads touched. It was a Kalorian gesture. He had seen it in the memory orbs. It meant trust, deep trust. Ethan closed his eyes. He felt her breath on his face. Calm, steady. They stayed like that for a long time. When they pulled apart, Lyraveth looked different. Not the princess, not the heir, just Lyra. Come, she said, let me show you the storm view one last time. She led him to a small balcony that opened from the side of the chamber. They stepped out. A clear shield kept the vacuum away, but they could feel the faint pull of the planet below. The gas giant filled the sky. Storms raged in slow circles. Colors flashed inside the clouds. Beautiful, Ethan whispered. Yes, she agreed. And powerful. Like us. Like what we could be. They stood there together, watching, not speaking. The palace lights turned amber, the signal that the day was ending. Lyraveth took his hand. Tradition says you must return now, but I say this is not the end, only a pause. Ethan squeezed her hand. A pause, I like that. They walked back through the corridors, slow steps. Neither wanted to hurry. When they reached the main hall doors, they stopped. Inside, the delegations waited, humans on one side, Kalorians on the other. Everyone looked tense. Lyraveth turned to Ethan. Thank you, she said, for today, for seeing me. Thank you, he answered, for choosing me. She leaned down and pressed her lips lightly to his forehead. A quick, soft touch. Then she stepped back. The doors opened. His legs felt heavy. Daniel, Ryan, and Olivia waited just inside. They looked worried, then relieved when they saw him. Ryan clapped him on the shoulder. You okay, kid? Ethan smiled. Yeah, really okay. Lyraveth stood in the doorway. She looked at him one last time. The doors started to close. Ethan raised his hand in a small wave. She raised hers back. The doors shut. But Ethan knew it was not goodbye. Not really. The day had ended, but something much bigger had begun. The heavy doors of the grand hall closed behind Ethan with a soft final sound. The room felt different now. The air was thick with waiting. Humans stood on one side, in their neat blue uniforms. Kalorians stood on the other, in their shining armor. Everyone watched the center, where Princess Lyraveth stood tall and calm. Her wings were folded tight against her back. Her violet eyes stayed fixed on the spot where Ethan had just walked in. Captain Daniel Hayes stepped forward first. His face showed worry, mixed with something like pride. "Private Brooks," he said in a low voice. "Report." Ethan straightened up. He felt taller than before. "Sir, the princess, she chose me for the day. We talked, we trained a little. She showed me parts of the palace no one else has seen. It was good. Really good." Ryan Cole crossed his arms. His missing fingers tapped against his sleeve. "Good? Kid, you had us thinking you'd be sent back in pieces or locked up for some royal game." Olivia Grant studied Ethan's face. She saw something new there. Not fear, not shame. Confidence. Quiet confidence. "What did she want from you?" she asked. Ethan looked at her straight. "Nothing bad. She wanted honesty. Someone who didn't try to impress her with war stories. Someone who just listened and talked back like a real person." A murmur went through the human group. Marcus Lee scratched the burn scars on his neck. "And you gave her that?" "I tried," Ethan said. "She gave it back too. Told me things she's never told anyone." Lyra Veth raised her hand. The room went quiet at once. She stepped forward. Her voice carried clear and strong across the hall. "Humans of Earth, Kalorians of the Empire, listen." All eyes turned to her. "Today I followed tradition," she said. "I chose a companion from your delegation. Many expected me to pick one of your veterans, the ones with scars, the ones with victories written on their skin and in their eyes. I did not." She looked at Daniel, Ryan, Olivia, and Marcus in turn. "You are worthy. Your strength is real. Your courage has no question. But strength that is finished is like a star that has already burned bright. It gives light, but no new fire." Then her gaze found Ethan. She walked toward him slowly. Guards moved aside without a word. "I chose him," she said, pointing once more at Ethan. "Private Ethan Brooks, the youngest, the one with no medals, no scars, no tales of battle. And in one day he gave me more than any victory could." The Kalorians behind her clicked softly in surprise. Some nodded. Others looked thoughtful. Lyra Veth stopped in front of Ethan. She placed one hand lightly on his shoulder. "He listened when I spoke of loneliness. He shared his own pain without hiding it. He asked questions that showed he cared. He reminded me that life is not only about what we have already done, it is about what we can still become." Ethan felt his face grow warm again, but this time he did not look down. He met her eyes. Daniel cleared his throat. "Your Highness, we are honored, but the private is under my command. We have rules about." Lyra Veth turned to him. "I do not ask to take him from you. I ask for something new, an alliance built not on fear or old promises, but on understanding, on two people who see each other clearly." She looked back at Ethan. "I want to continue this, not one day, many days, visits, talks, time together. If he agrees, if you agree." The hall stayed silent. Everyone waited for Ethan. He took a slow breath. "I agree," he said. His voice was steady. "I want to see her again, talk more, learn more, about her world, about mine, about us." Ryan let out a low whistle. "Kids got guts." Olivia smiled, just a small one, but real. "He always did. We just didn't notice." Daniel studied Ethan for a long moment. Then he nodded. "If this helps peace between our peoples, and if it's what you want, Private, then you have my support. We'll work out the details, diplomatic channels, schedules, whatever it takes." Lyra Veth's wings opened halfway. Not in threat, in relief, in joy. "Then it is decided," she said. She turned to her own people. "This human will return, not as a guest, not as a companion for tradition, as a friend, as someone who matters." The Kalorians bowed their heads slightly, a sign of acceptance. Lyra Veth looked at Ethan one last time. "Go with your people now. Rest, think. But know this, I will wait for your next step. No rush, no pressure, only truth." Ethan nodded. "I'll come back. Soon." She smiled, the same real smile from the garden. It made her look less like a princess and more like someone who hoped. The humans began to move toward the exit. Ethan walked in the middle now, not at the back, not hiding. Daniel put a hand on his shoulder for a second. Ryan gave him a quick nod. Olivia said nothing, but her eyes said enough. As they reached the outer doors, Ethan looked back. Lyra Veth still stood in the center of the hall, tall, silver, strong. But her eyes followed only him. The doors opened to the docking tube that led back to the Unity. The humans stepped through one by one. Ethan was the last. He paused at the threshold, raised his hand in a small wave. She raised hers in return. Then he stepped through. The doors closed. On the ship, the crew gathered in the common room. Questions flew fast. Ethan answered what he could. He told them about the training room, the memory crystals, the view of the storms, the quiet talks under silver trees. Some laughed, some listened quietly. All of them looked at him different now. Later, when the lights dimmed for ship night, Ethan sat alone in his small bunk. He stared at the ceiling. His mind replayed every moment. He thought about the Ruth back home, talking to stars. He thought about the princess who chose him not for what he was, but for what he could be. He smiled in the dark. Somewhere in the palace, Lyra Veth stood at her window. She watched the small human ship pull away slowly. It grew smaller against the stars. She touched the glass. "Soon," she whispered. The gas giant turned below. Storms danced. A new story had started, not of war, not of power, of two people from different worlds who found something real in one single day. And that something would grow, stronger than any scar, brighter than any metal, because sometimes the youngest heart beats the loudest, and sometimes the strongest choice is the simplest one. Ethan closed his eyes. Sleep came easy. Tomorrow waited, and so did she.